Greetings from Full Circle Bookstore. On January 22nd at 3 p.m., we'll host a signing for a local author in the cafe. That author is Dr. Ghazi Rayan, and his book is titled Immigrants Who Founded and Fostered an Early Nation. The book looks at the pivotal role immigrants have played in the United States, cataloging their contributions to American prosperity. Earlier this week, Dr. Rayan dropped by the store to tell me about his book. From a cold back room at Full Circle Bookstore, my name is Stephen, and I'm speaking with Dr. Ghazi Rayan. His new book is called Immigrants Who Founded and Fostered an Early Nation. Thank you for joining me. To start things off, I wanted to ask why you decided to write this book.
Yes, when Europeans landed on American shores and settled in this new world, they transformed its rural areas into the most sprawling cities known to man. The moment these colonies were named the United States and became a country, immigrants flocked and came from every corner of the globe to this land of opportunity. The Industrial Revolution, on the other hand, generated demand for unschooled immigrant workers who would toil in its sweatshops, railroads, highways, and canals. The technological revolution later beaconed and attracted the highly skilled individuals. America, therefore, became a great melting pot, a heterogeneous mosaic of ethnicities, and a country whose immigrants immeasurably enriched its society. So I often ask myself the following question: how many American immigrants have made critical contributions to this nation? What notions and initiatives they provided that favorably changed the course of our country? And what would America be today without its immigrants? So in my quest to answer these questions, I discovered that the number of those immigrants who arrived on these shores to make great changes is simply staggering. Although the names of a few are recognizable by many, but others have not received their deserved recognition by historians. The impetus for writing this book, therefore, was to share this information with my readers.
Now, a book like this requires a lot of research, a lot of time and planning. I'm curious what resources you used in the writing process.
Yeah, the most convenient initial search tools for my inquiry were Google and Wikipedia, and occasionally Yahoo. Incidentally, Google's co-founder, Sergey Brin, is a Russian immigrant. Wikipedia's co-founder, Jimmy Wales, is a British immigrant. And Yahoo co-founder, Jerry Yang, is a Taiwanese immigrant. However, the sources for my second and more important and in-depth study were the Library of Congress, the National Archives, and the Metropolitan Library in Oklahoma City, where I delved into hundreds of archives, articles, books, and websites. And since many of those immigrants were posthumously searched, I exhumed information from memorials like Find a Grave, a website that was not spared from my literary autopsy. All this is to ensure accuracy of information published. After searching and researching, I encountered a deluge of material and unearthed myriad names of immigrant men and women who gifted plethora of ideas and countless innovations in all cultural disciplines, and that is including arts, business, economy, engineering, medicine, philosophy, science, and many more. It was clear then to me that compiling all this material into one publication would be like writing an encyclopedia. Therefore, I narrowed my efforts to only those early immigrants who were crucial in the creation and development of America in its early years.
Now, you do most of your writing in a scholarly setting. I'm wondering what was different writing for a popular audience?
Yes, writing academic books and scientific articles for surgeons, let's say, requires a great extraordinary degree of information accuracy. The material has to be meticulously researched and evidence-based, and that is in order for the reader or the physician to apply it safely to the care of their patients. So while writing this nonfiction history book, I realized that it requires almost similar degree of scrutiny. Therefore, I found myself utilizing the same culture that I inherited from scholarly contributions and writing by using precision in verifying information and dates. As such, it took me 4 years to finalize the book manuscript, but it is partly because I was and still am practicing my profession. But going through the publication, the distribution, and marketing of nonfiction is much more arduous and time-consuming than publishing a scientific book.
Now, what do you hope readers to take away from this book?
So basically, knowing the answers to the questions that I just listed. Millions of immigrants took the death-defying transatlantic crossing to escape economic hardship, ethnic persecution, political unrest, religious intolerance, famines, or even genocides. They came in pursuit of a new taste of freedom and the promise of a peace and prosperity. The book mentions 200 of those immigrants, but it details the stories of about half of them. It portrays their character, ideals, and profiles. Some of them came poor but prospered and enriched their new country. Others came wealthy to die in poverty after serving their new nation. But all of them and their good deeds were integrated into the fabric of the society. The reader witnessed immigrants' achievements and triumphs in the military, political, financial, and judiciary arenas. They served as delegates to the Continental Congresses and the Constitutional Convention. They functioned as army generals, governors, cabinet members, senators, justices, and diplomats. And in the private sector, several immigrant bankers during the 19th century established some of the largest investment firms in the world. So immigrant efforts were critical for achieving independence, framing the Constitution, financially sustaining the new nation, saving the Union, promoting civic principles, implementing the rule of law, and sustaining the economy of the nascent country. But most importantly, we should not forget that another secret of their success was the welcoming arms of America, which opened to them many doors of opportunities. Therefore, without immigrants who founded and fostered our early nation, independence would have been elusive, union could not have been saved, and America would not be what it is today. In all likelihood, it will be distinctly less free, less prosperous, less technologically advanced, and less politically stable. And therefore, examining immigrants' lives helps us understand our history. It helps us appreciate the true values of democracy, freedom, liberty, and the promise of human rights that we enjoy today. It helps us embrace diversity. It helps us know what it means to be Americans.
Now, I know it's hard to pick favorites, but could you tell me what you think your favorite part of the book is, or what your favorite aspect is of your book?
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing, it'll be the stories of these immigrants, which are captivating and awe-inspiring. Examining their struggles and successes and witnessing their monumental achievements is refreshing. Learning about the sacrifices of numerous immigrant generals and the infinite number of low-ranking officers, many of whom gave their lives in battles while in the service of their adopted country, is sobering. Knowing the overwhelming majority of those immigrants were staunch anti-slavery activists and native advocates, it is comforting. exploring the times the immigrants lived in and the history of our young nation is edifying and satisfying.
Do you think you could list or single out some of your favorite immigrant figures who are featured in your book?
Yeah, the book is replete with individuals who stand out for their contributions. Here are some. The Swiss-American Jane Agassiz, who introduced the theory of Ice Age, which was proven 140 years later. The explorers who came as immigrants like Juan Pedella and Jacques Marquette, both, by the way, Catholic missionaries, who, unlike other explorers, were beneficent to the natives. Here are examples of three prominent immigrant settlers. John Howland, the Mayflower passenger who almost drowned in the ocean and later had millions of descendants, including intellectuals, novelists, and American presidents. The minister Roger Williams, who was expelled from the Massachusetts colony by the Puritans just because of his views on religious tolerance. He later, by the way, established the First Baptist Church in America. The anti-slavery Quaker William Penn, who was the founder of the state of Pennsylvania. There are two notable forced immigrant slaves worth of mentioning. Abdur Rahman, the Prince of African Kingdom, who was enslaved for 40 years before being manumitted. And Omar ibn Said, the scholar whose works are hosted today in the Library of Congress. Now, among immigrant seminal founding fathers, the two most prominent are Thomas Paine, the British-born who earned the title the father of the American Revolution. Charles Thomson, the Irish-born biblical scholar who served as permanent secretary to all three continental congresses. Also among congressional founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton stands out as one of the greatest immigrant Americans. As Secretary of Treasury, he saved the nation after the Revolution from imminent financial ruin. He, along with immigrants like Robert Morris and Albert Gallatin, are widely regarded as the founders of the financial system in the United States. There are 5 distinguished immigrant justices of the United States Supreme Court, but William Patterson emerges as a profound legal scholar. And there are 8 immigrant women heroines who served in the American wars, working as volunteers and nurses, disguised as men spies gathering information, or as soldiers fighting in battles. And lastly, the book recognized that famous French immigrant lady who stands tall on Liberty Island and inspired many people, including the Russian immigrant Irving Berlin, to write songs like Miss Liberty and God Bless America, which became our second national anthem. All these immigrants and countless others deserve our appreciation and celebration.
Dr. Rayan, we're looking forward to your event later this month. Thank you for spending this time with me.
Thank you.